Okay, so I hope you remember in the last class we were talking about classless and classful addressing, correct? And we were at this particular point on in the last class, correct? We were discussing about classless addressing. We know classless addressing was basically divided into variable blocks, variable length blocks, correct? So what was your class full addressing where the address space is divided into various classes, correct? A, B, C, D and E, if you remember, correct? There were 5 classes. But in case of classless addressing, it was a variable length blocks. Each block is of different lengths. That is why it is variable length blocks, correct? So each the address space is divided into variable blocks, variable length blocks, correct? And we were at this topic, right? We were discussing about the how to extract the information when any address has been given, correct? How to extract the information when any address is given. You can extract 3 informations, correct? So I was discussing about this. So what are the 3 addresses, 3 information you can extract? You can extract the network the number of addresses, correct? So you can extract the number of addresses, you can extract the first address and the last address if any address is given, correct? If any address is given, you can extract all such information. So this is what we were discussing in the last class, correct? So I was also telling regarding this, correct? So if you want to get the address or network address, use this formula, that is 2 power 32 minus n, correct? 2 power 32 minus n. If you want to get the first address, what are we doing? We are keeping the first 32 bits as it is, and the remaining values fill it with zeros, correct? Rest all fill it with zero. The same happens with the last address. How are we getting the last address? Just instead of zeros over here, fill it with ones, correct? That is what we were doing in the getting the information from the any given address, correct? In a classless addressing, we were talking about classless addressing, correct? So let us see an example now for a classless addressing. So what is the example over here? Consider the classless address given over here is 167 point something like this. So what is this slash here? It is a slash notation. We also discussed about slash notation, correct? So what is the slash notation? The number followed by slash notation is nothing but your prefix length, correct? So because why this prefix length is required? Because if any address is given, along with the address we also should know the prefix length, so that will not be embedded within the address which was doing in the classful address, which was not happening in the same way, correct? In a classless address, if you want to know the prefix length, that will be attached along with the using a slash notation. This also will be discussed in the last class, correct? So slash followed by prefix length. Is this is clear? So this is what we did. So this is the address they are given. From the address, we need to get the 3 information. So what are the 3 informations? First piece of information is what? The network address. So 2 power 32 minus. So what is how many bits are there? Sorry, how many? What is the prefix length? So minus n, right? So here n, this small n represents the prefix length. So what is the prefix length which is given here? Prefix length given over here is 27, correct? I already told slash notation, slash followed by the number gives a prefix length. So this is a prefix length. So 2 power 32 minus n minus 27 will give you what? 32 minus 27 is 5. So you will get 5. So 2 power 5, what is the value of 2 power 5? It is 32. So yeah, 2 power 5 is 32, correct? So how many addresses? The total number of addresses in the network is what? 32 addresses. Is this is clear? Is this concept is clear? How did we get 5 here? Because the n value is 27 here. So 32 minus 27 will be 2 power 5, which is equal to 32. 32. 2 power 5 is 32. Is this is clear? So the next piece of information which we are interested over here is a first address. So the first address can be found by keeping the first 27 bits. So first n bits I told, right? So first n bits is what? First prefix length bits. So n is what here? N is this one, correct? So n is 27. So remaining 27, the remaining values you keep it as it is. So this is the address, given address, you represent it within a binary form, correct? This is represented in a binary form. Then what are we doing over here? So this 27, except 27, the remaining bit. So 32 minus 27 is what? 5. So the remaining 5 bits. So this 5 bits, correct? So these 5 bits I am placing it with 0. Are you clear with this? So this 5 bits I am placing it with 0. So this gives the first address. Okay, this is clear? Fine. How are we getting the last address? The last address, first 27 bits, keep it as it is. The remaining bits, what is the remaining bit? With 32 minus 27 is what? 5 bits. So the remaining bits, the leftmost bit should be keep it as it is. I'm talking about the rightmost bit. The remaining rightmost bit is what? That is 5 bits. Filled it with ones. So this gives the last address. Is this is clear? So if any address has been given, you should be able to derive the total number of addresses using this formula, that is 2 power 32 minus n. So what is this n? N is a prefix length which is given in the address itself. And how are we deriving the first address? Keep the leftmost 27, the n bits. N here is nothing but the prefix length bit. So keep the leftmost n bits as it is. So remaining bits fill it with 0 in case of first address. In case if you want to know the last address, keep the first n bits as it is. The remaining bits you just 32 minus n bits, you just place it with ones in order to get the last address. Is this concept is clear? Fine. So next we will discuss about something called network addressing, correct? Okay, before this, let me also tell you something. There is something called mask. So what is this mask address or address mask is? That is another way. This we have seen one way of finding the first address and the last address. The next form of finding or a way of finding the first address and the last address in any given block is by using a address mask. Okay. So what is this address mask? Is nothing but a 32-bit number. Okay, in which what happens, the first leftmost bits are set to ones and the rest of the bits are set to zeros. Is it clear? First leftmost bits are set to ones and the remaining bits are set to zeros. Is this clear? Is this concept is clear? It's very simple. So first 32 bits, just replace it with ones and the remaining bits, it replace it with zeros. Fine. So how are we getting the first number of addresses? It is just using, you are using 3 operations here, that is and, or, and not operations. These and, or, and not operations can be applied to the individual bytes. Okay. Since lack of time, what I'm doing here is I'll just give you the theory. Problems I will do separate video and upload. Okay. So we will discuss more about this address mask. Fine. So the next concept over here is a classless addressing. So what is this classless addressing? Classless addressing is in class. What are we doing over here is in classless addressing. What happens? Each block of address, right? The address does not belong to each block of address. If any address is given, you cannot identify or you cannot easily say which block it belongs to. Okay. For example, say for example, if the address say 23024 something like this, it is given, you cannot identify, you cannot define which block. There are a number of blocks in address space, correct? You cannot say which particular block this address belongs to. So so this, what are we doing over here is, this is just an example which shows the value of the prefix associated with each block. Correct. So this is a prefix length. You have given some address / prefix length. You're going to see. So this shows the value of the prefix which are associated with each and every block. You will be given some prefix length. Correct. So suppose if I say some address length, I cannot say which block it belongs to because each of a different sizes, variable length. Correct. So the next is about the network address. So what is this network address? This network address, yes, it is very much important because network address, when are we using it is whenever you want to send a package to the destination network. Correct. So network address is just a identifier, right? It is an identifier of a network that you can remember. Okay. Network address is nothing but it is an identifier of a network. Clear? In order to identify each and every networks. Fine. So here when any packet, okay, if there are a number of packets, if it arrives at the router from any of the sources, right? What does the router should do? The router need to know which network the packet should be sent. correct? Along with that, which network the packet should be sent. Along with that, it also needs from which interface, because each and every router has various interfaces. It should also know which interfaces I should send the packet out. So so this idea you just it is given picturized over here. Router, there are n number of networks. Each and every network has different network addresses, correct? Each and every network has a different network address which has been connected to a router. So how many addresses, how many networks are there? There are m networks are there in this example, and a router with m interfaces, correct? From each and every network you have an interface, so this is an m interfaces. Is this is clear? Suppose now the packet arrives at the router. So what does it do? It will refer the forwarding table. So this is a networking process. From a destination address, find the network address. Okay, find the network address. So network address using a forwarding table. So this is a network address based on the destination address. Okay, based on the destination address, check for the network address and its respective interface. So which interface I should forward this, and to which network I should forward this particular packet. So based on what we are deriving it based on the forwarding table to find the corresponding interfaces. This is clear? Based on the destination address. Am I clear? So network process, how it works: extract the destination address. From the destination address, find the network address. From the using a forwarding table, you can also get the interface. So network address and the interface are both the informations required, right, in order to forward the packets by a router. This is the information required by a router. So what was the network address? So I will just repeat. So what is a network address? It is just an identifier of a network. You need to identify each and every network, correct? So by a uniquely identified address. So that is called as network address, correct? So you understood about network address, right? So each and every address has different, sorry, each and every network has different address. It is also called as identifier. So that is a network address. So how this process actually works, from a destination, the packet sends a destination address also, correct? From using a destination address, the router uses a forwarding table to know the network address and the interface number. Clear? Fine. So suppose, okay. Next, we will discuss about something called a block allocation. So what is this block allocation? Block allocation is, suppose if somebody requests for a block, right? So how are we allocating a block for different the user, right? So how are we allocating a block? So just a second. Okay, I was talking about a block allocation, correct? So what is this block allocation? How are these blocks are allocated to each and individual use in the hosts, correct? So the block allocation, the responsibility of a block allocation is basically done by an organization or an authority called ICANN. You should know this word. Okay, ICANN. What is this ICANN? ICANN. So what is this ICANN? Is an internet corporation. It is an internet corporation for assigned names and numbers. Internet corporation for assigned names and numbers. So this is an authority which is basically deal with, or it takes a responsibility of assigning the blocks, okay, or allocating the blocks. Um, so what does these do? How this works is, it basically assigns a large block of address to an ISP. Okay, so there are different blocks. So a large block is been allocated to ISP. Correct. So what is this ISP? It is an internet service providers. Correct. There are various internet service providers. It assigns. So this ISP does not allocate the address to the individual users. Okay, ICANN does not allocate the address to the individual user. So what does it do? In turn, it allocates a large address to the ISP. So that is an internet service provider. Now internet service provider will take the responsibility and allocating a blocks to the individual users. Is this clear? Okay, so this is how a block allocation will actually work. Fine. Fine. So I let me take one example and show how this actually works. Uh, Okay. Before that, let me start talk about something called address aggregation. Okay. So what is this address aggregation? Aggregation is what, combining or give a summary, or it is also called as address summarization or route summarization also. Okay. Um, One of the advantage of this classless addressing is what, or CIDR. What is CIDR? CIDR, which we already talked about in the last class, right? CIDR, classless interdomain routing. CIDR, correct? So it's also another name for classless approach or strategy. So one of the advantage of this is an address aggregation. So when a block of addresses are here in the when the block of there are a number of blocks, correct? So all these blocks are combined to create a larger block. Okay, routing can be done based, how the routing can be done, it is based on the prefix of the larger block. So what are we doing? You have lots of blocks, blocks of addresses which are combined together to form a larger block. Now the routing can be done based on the prefix of the larger block. Okay, so what does the ICANN, which we had already talked about, right? Internet Corporation for network address allocation. So what is ICANN will do? Assign a large block of address to an ISP, that is Internet Service Provider. So now what does ISP will do? In turn, divides this assigned block into smaller sub-blocks. Okay, and allocates the smaller sub-blocks to the various users, or you can also call it as customers. Correct. So this is how the address allocation or address aggregation will work. Right. So let me, in order to understand this better, let me take one example and show you. Here, consider we have 4 small blocks. Okay, let me show you with example that gives clear picture. So correct. So you have an internet, correct? You have an internet which has been connected to an ISP. ISP will connect to the internet. So as I already told, you have 4 blocks. Correct. Consider 4 small blocks of addresses are assigned to the 4 organizations by an ISP. Okay, this shows how actually ISP allocates the 4 blocks of information to the different 4 organizations. So what does this ISP will do? They combines the 4 blocks into one single block. Okay, and it tells that it is a large block to the outside world. Is this is clear? Okay, is this is clear? So let me just show you with an example. So this is an internet. So it the all packets with the destination address, some destination address it is given, so 0 to 255, that is 2 part 32, right, are sent to the ISP, internet service provider. So now internet service provider, I mean this will, I mean the large block will be given to the internet service provider. As I already told, internet service provider will divide the larger blocks into various sub blocks. Correct? So various sub blocks according to our question, according to our requirement is what, according to our requirement we have 4 organizations, we need to assign 4 blocks. Correct. So assign 4 blocks, so divide the larger blocks into 4 small sub blocks and assign to each and every organizations. Correct. 4 blocks assigned to each and every organization, say for example 0 to 63, 64 to 127, all those things. Correct. So this is an example of how network, I mean how the address aggregation will work. Clear? So this is all about classful and classless addressing. The next concept which we will move over here is a dynamic host configuration protocol, that is DHCP. Dynamic host configuration protocol. Why this come into picture is, we know that we have already seen in the last slide that large organization or ISP, correct? ISP is nothing but a large organization. It, what does it do? Receive a block of addresses from an ICANN. Correct. ISP receives a large block of address from a ICANN. Okay, so what does this do? This in turn divides and sends a block, sends a smaller block of address to the smaller organization. Correct. To a smaller organization it sends the smaller block of addresses. After, so suppose in a smaller organization, after a block of address Okay, after a block of address in a smaller organization, how does it is actually assigned to individual users? Correct. Suppose, for example, consider our college itself. So ISP, we got different addresses from the ISP, Internet Service Provider. So how are we assigning the Internet IP address to each and every system which is located in the college, or each and every OS which is located in the college? Correct. Different around college. So how are we doing this? Using a network administrator. The network administrator should sit manually and assign the IP address to each and every hosts or a net router also. We have router also, correct? So each and every host or a router or a device. So instead of doing this manually, there is another concept called DHCP, which automatically do this process for us. That is nothing but DHCP. Did you get this point? What is this DHCP? Instead of allocating the manually assigning the address to the individual hosts or a router, this task can be automate by using a protocol called DHCP, that is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Okay, so what is this DHCP? It is a program which is usually basically runs at application layer. Okay, and it follows a client server architecture. So you know what is client server architecture? A request will be sent from a client service from the server provided by a server. So it follows a client server architecture. And this DHCP actually helps the TCP IP protocol at the network layer. How in detail we will discuss later. Okay. And DHCP is most widespread across used in internet today, and it has also been called as plug and play protocol. Okay, plug and play protocol. It is used in various different scenarios. For example, okay, consider an example. If we for example, if we move to some hotel, correct, we will use their internet services. So how it is happening, the what you can say, uh, internet the temporary IP address is been provided to a visitor of that particular hotel. Correct. Temporary IP address will be used, will be assigned to that particular what you can say, the customer or something for that particular hotel. Internet temporary IP address will be given to connect our laptop or mobile to the internet services which is provided by that particular hotel. Correct. So this is one scenario, or this is one scenario or an example where this DHCP can be used. Okay. Consider another example. If there are 1,000 address has been granted for us, and which can be provide services to the 4,000 households. Okay, assuming not all the 4,000 households use internet at the same time. Only 1/4 of the customer uses the internet at that given any particular time. So in such scenario also you can use this DHCP. Okay, by randomly allocating or temporarily allocating the IP address. So what is the conclusion from here? A network manager can configure a DHCP to assign a permanent address to the router or host, or also assign a temporary or on-demand IP address to the host. You can configure, the network manager can configure this DHCP to assign the temporary address or a permanent address or on-demand address whenever it is required. Then only demand IP address, assign the IP address to the host or something like this. Correct. So this is basically the picture of where we will use a DHCP. Okay. So I hope you understood this concept, right? So next we will, the next concept we will move over here is a DHCP message format. So what is this message format? Before going to see DHCP in detail, we need to know the message format, right? So if you see here, there are various fields, correct? So now can you tell me how much bit it is? It is a 32-bit length, correct? And each and every field has been explained here clearly. The one field which is very much important over here is the option field. The one field which is very much important over here is the options field. Okay. The first one is an opcode. What is this opcode? Opcode here represents either a request or a reply. Whenever you have a request phase, it is 1. Whenever you have a reply phase, it is a number is given with 2. Okay. Next is H type. So what is this H type? H type indicates hardware type. It will tell you what type of hardware we are using. One example, it can be either Ethernet or something like that. Next is H length. H length is nothing but length of the hardware address. Okay, address of Ethernet or something like this. Okay, so length of the hardware. H count. Next is H count. It's nothing but the maximum number of ops a packet can travel, which means an interface, intermediate devices. Maximum number of ops a network packet can travel. Next topic, next field over here is a transaction ID. Transaction ID is basically any integer, an integer which has been set by a client, and the same will be used by a server also. Okay, same number or ID will be used by the server also. Transaction ID, because the transaction ID basically deals with the particular transaction between a client and server. Same number should be there by sending from a client or sending from the receiver. Correct, the name itself says it's a transaction ID for a transaction. Time elapsed, the number of seconds since the client started to start a transaction or starts to boot, so that is time elapsed. Next is flags. The first bit here defines a unicast or multicast. So if it is a unicast, represented with 0. If it is a multicast, represented with 1. Okay, and you know it is 16 bits here, correct? So it is 16 bits. So 1 bit is used here, and the remaining 15 bits are not used for any other purpose. Clear? Next is client IP address. Client IP address is basically set to 0. Okay, client IP address is set to 0 initially, because client does not know what is its IP address. This will be set by the server whenever a server responds. Then your IP address. Your IP address is client IP address sent by the server. Clear? So client IP address. Here we don't know what is IP address, so it is usually set to zeros. Your IP address is a client address sent by the or set by the server. Server IP address is a broadcast IP address. Okay. If why we are using broadcast IP address here is because if the client does not know the server address, it can give a broadcast address. If it knows the particular server address, it can give the server address. Next is the gateway IP address. Gateway, we know it is the router. The default router address can be given here in case of in the field of gateway IP address. Next is server IP address. Client hardware address. What is this client hardware address? The address of a client, the hardware, correct? Address of the hardware. Next is a server name. Server name is a 64-byte domain name of the server, the name of the server. Okay, it is a name, not the address. Suppose if you are visiting, say, VTU, so VTU.ac.in, that name, you can give it your server name. Boot file name. So 128-byte file name holding an extra information. Okay, this will give you an extra information. So it is of how much build? It is 128-byte. Okay. And next, very important is option. I already told we should discuss more about options field now. So what is this option field? Okay. So option field is of 64-byte. Okay, 64-byte option field. Clear? So 64-byte is an the option field is 64-byte. Okay. So now consider an example. The format. Okay. There are. It is basically divided into 3 fields over here. Okay. So the first field talks about the tag. The next field talks about the length, and the remaining field talks about the value. Okay. So this is basically first byte, second byte, and the remaining bytes. How many bytes it is? 64 byte. I already told it's a 64 byte, correct? So it's a 64 byte. First byte talks about the tag. Next talks about the length, and next talks about the value. Consider there are various tag values. So if the tag value is a 53, okay, if the tag value is 53, okay, this is of 1 byte. So if the tag value is 53, this shows the value field, right? This shows, okay, this shows the value. If the tag is 53, this shows the value field can have any of the 3 message formats. Okay, any of the 8, any of the 8 message types shown here. In this example, for example, if the tag is 53, the length will be 1. Okay. the length will be 1, and this is DHCP: discover, offer, request, decline, acknowledgement, not acknowledge, something like this, correct? Release, inform, all those things. So is this is clear? So when are we using this option format or option field over here is because so server will uses a number called, there is something called magic cookie, okay, in the format of IP address, say 99.130.83 or something like this. So this is an IP address. It uses this magic field cookie. When the client finishes reading the message, it looks for this magic cookie. Okay, when the client finishes this, it uses a magic cookie. If present, the next 60 bytes are options. If the magic cookie are present, correct? If the magic cookie are present, the next 60 bytes, whatever which we are looking for, is nothing but your option field. This option field, right? So this option field is basically, I already told, it composed of 3 fields, and one is tag field, length field, and the value field. Clear? So you should know this is very important, one of the important field in the DHCP message format, fine, and it has dual purpose. Okay, it has dual purpose. One, it either carries additional information or gives some specific information to the vendor. Okay, it gives the vendor information, or it gives the specific additional information or a vendor information. Is this is clear? So now we'll see in detail of how this will work. So consider you have a client address and the you have a client and you have a server where we need to communicate with each other. So the IP address of our client, I already told, it does not know the IP address. So the IP address of the server is we already know, correct? So first, if a client wants to join to the server, okay, what does it do? It creates a DHCP discover. So DHCP discover message, in which what are we giving? We are giving a transaction ID, correct? Remaining all fields, if you see here, it has been set. It is not been set. Is this is clear? Only the transaction ID has been set, and this transaction ID is what? It is just a random number, and remaining all, if you see, it is just 0. Okay, and if you observe, we are setting a source address and destination port also, that is 68 and 67. Is this is clear? And if you see at the source address, we don't know, because I already told IP address we don't know, so it has been set with 000. Our destination address has been given with a broadcast address, simply because we don't know the server also, so that is 2555.255. It's been sent as a destination address. Clear? So that this has been sent to the server. This is the first point. So next step is what? DHCP server, upon receiving a DHCP discover, okay, this either can be sent to different servers or one server. If there are more servers, sent to all servers. So it should respond, right? It should respond with DHCP offer message. So what is this DHCP offer message? As it has a transaction ID. If you observe, I already told, same transaction ID should be used by client and server. So 1001, same transaction ID. And you have something called lease time. Lease time is what we already discussed, right? So lease time is nothing but how much time it takes, right? So lease time to respond back. And client address, still it is not sent. It should be like blank, it's not set only. Your address is the address which has been assigned to that particular client. So it is given here is what? 181.116, something like this, correct? And this is 181, this is the IP address of the server. Clear? So after time expire, please rejoin again. We will discuss this concept for another 20 minutes. Okay. So after time expires, please rejoin with the same ID.